So with her professional guidance and with practical at-home techniques, today we're going to learn about pain-free living. Thanks so much, Jen.
All right. Thank you very much for that great introduction. Hello. Oh, thank you. How's everybody today? No. Sunday is good. Okay. So I'm Janice Lowe, physio, and I run Janice Lowe Physiotherapy. We're over there in Burnaby, just by BCIT. So if you go off the Willingdon exit up Canada Way, it's just a couple minutes off the highway. So a little bit of a trek to get down here today. So I had a good little chat with a few of you and found out a little bit more about your pain, and that's definitely what I'm going to be talking about today. So I've had a ton of injuries myself, and that's how I know how to get out of pain. So I have been in 3 totaled car accidents at high speeds, 80 to 100 kilometers an hour. I've flown over the handlebars of my mountain bike and broken my arm. I tore all the ligaments in both ankles multiple times. I broke my kneecap in half. I hurt my wrist. I had sciatica down my leg electrocuting me. And so here I am. You wouldn't even be able to tell by looking at me, because I went through physiotherapy and kinesiology to get back to normal. And it is possible for everyone, even at any age, as a matter of fact. So I'm interested in helping people. So this is what I can do, some photos, so I have proof. When I had sciatica, I was actually bent forward like this. I was walking around like this, and now you can see this is what I can do. And then this is a goofy outfit on a goofy day. So I don't know, it's not from 1976, okay? I am that old, but kind of. Anyways. So after sciatica, I can now deadlift and I can squat. So I want you all to have this opportunity. Even if you don't want to be doing these things, don't worry, I'm not going to make you do those things. But you can do all the things that you want to do. And there's actually a lot of 76-year-old Austrians up on Whistler skiing 3 times a week, because their mindset allows them to feel like they can do it. So look at the joy on that face. I want everyone to have that kind of joy in life. So my goal is to keep people moving at any stage, any age. And so I coached the Special Olympics for 4 years, and what you have to do is, either, if you can't change your body because you have a permanent disability, what you do is you change the way that you're doing the thing that you want to do. There's always adaptations that can be done. So that's also what I like to teach people, so that they can keep doing their activities while they get better. And even if they can't change their body to get all the way better, they can still change the activity and to still do it. All right, so I'm going to give you some background on why these things work. So motion is a lotion. A lot of people feel like rest is best, and we need to rest our joints when they hurt in order to get better. Or we just had a discussion earlier about, oh, when I do this exercise, I have pain. Does that mean I'm damaging myself? And we get all kinds of thoughts in our head. I've had people tell me that when they have a sharp pain in their back, they feel like there's a bone that is splintered and is cutting their nerves. I've had people say they feel like things are being shredded. So those things are not happening. Those things happen when you have a quick hit or a quick twist. That's when that pain is from a tear or a break. But if you're just doing a regular exercise, the pain is just coming from your body just not being used to it, and it needs to remodel. So one of the things that can happen is, this is the knee, and it actually has this fibrous capsule all the way around it, and on the inside of this capsule is a sheath that secretes fluid. It's called synovial fluid. So that's why I have a picture of the Tin Man. If anyone's seen The Wizard of Oz, he comes and he's really stiff and he can't move, and then they oil up all his joints and then he can move again. And this is what happens when we move. So this sheath will start to secrete a liquid. It's on all of our joints, in our fingers, in our spine, in our knees, in our hips. That will secrete fluid when we move. So when we sleep, it actually, that fluid starts to kind of congeal a little bit. It becomes like butter when you put it out on the counter. In order for us to feel really lubed up, we need to have it be like melted butter. So when you start moving, that's when it starts to become more viscous, we can say, and secrete more. So that's why movement helps you feel less stiff. So if people feel stiff when they first wake up, once you start moving after half an hour, then you start to feel better. That's one of the reasons. The other thing is the discs in the spine. So the disc can actually absorb water or lose water. So if anyone has been told they have degenerative discs, that's an age-related change, because as we age, we already have less water in the disc, and that's what they don't really tell us. I mean, it sounds really scary. Like who feels like that's a scary diagnosis? It's like, yeah. It sounds like they're just disintegrating in your back and you're just going to have bone on bone soon. That is not true. They're still there, and you can actually help them plump up by moving. So even if you just do, movements like this or a little cat-cow in yoga, anything like that, they'll start to absorb water and plump up, and then that cushion is a little bit bigger. So our body is always changing, morning till night, according to what we do. So it's important to do certain things in order to feel better and lube up your joints. Let's see what's next. All right, so I have some secret pain relieving tips to use. These are actually super simple and very brilliant. There was a physiotherapist in the 1940s called Mackenzie, and we used to think, not we, I wasn't born then, people used to think that bending backwards when you had back pain was really bad and it was going to cause a lot of pain. So they said avoid that at all costs. So he was running late, so he had his little treatment bed there, and you can kind of put the back up, right, like this. So you imagine someone would kind of sit on it like this, and he's like, okay, I'll be back in 20 minutes, just, go like that. Well, he came in, and for some reason, this weird guy laid on it like this. So he was in a full extension of his back. And Mackenzie came in and was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you okay? And he said, you know what? I've never felt better in my life. He's like, what? And then he discovered that some people like bending backwards and some people's spines like bending forwards. So if you find which one your spine likes, then you can use it to make it feel better. And actually, sciatica, the pain down your leg, is really easy to fix. If you find which direction feels good, it'll actually move your spine in such a way that it reduces that pain. And so what I thought we could possibly do is find out which way our pain here, each person's pain is, and then you can use this at home. So if you think about what you like to do when your back hurts, so who has back pain? Probably everyone, come on. Yeah. So if your back hurts, are you the one who's like, oh, I gotta stand up and move around? Or are you the person who's like, where's that chair? I hate standing in a line. So who's the one who likes looking for a seat? That's me. You. Not sure? Okay. And who's like, oh, I gotta walk around to loosen up? You. 1, 2, touching your toes a forward bend like a seat. Yeah, so some people go like that too. So that would be the flexion one. Okay, so that's flexion preference. Most people, if we're over 50 or 60, they like to have a seat and be forward flexed. So what you can do is do that repeatedly in order to feel better. So can we all stand up and do a little test? All right, yay, good crowd, thank you. I was worried everyone would just sit down here and stare at me. Okay, so you're gonna evaluate your pain out of 10. All right, so 10 is like you're gonna die, 0 is nothing, and 5 is in the middle. So just bend backwards and say, oh, how much does my back hurt out of 10? And remember that number. Okay, just for a second, don't do it too long. Okay, got it? All right, now kind of do a little squat like this and see if your back hurts then. Remember the number. Okay, just for a second, feel your back, okay? So let's see me. Mine's feeling pretty good. It's like maybe a 1, and that's 0. All right, so sit down and what you're gonna do is, I guess I should have got myself a chair. And those are all hooked up. Okay, that's fine. So what you do is if you're standing, well, you're sitting, you do the same thing, but you tuck under. So if you're sitting in your seat, you're gonna roll under like that. And here's my trusty assistant, thank you. All right, so sit on the very edge of your seat. I'll go over here. Put your toes up in the air, but down. Put your heels down, but your toes are up. Now, if you're on the edge, you can kind of push the floor away, like you're pushing the floor and you're rolling, you're tucking under. That looks great. Well, that might hurt you, so don't do too many. Because this is the forward flexion one. Okay, good. That looks good. Good. So do it 10, 20 times, and then we're gonna see if your back feels better or worse. Okay, 5 more. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's stand up. Remember your number. Is it more or less now? So and then don't hold it too long. Whose pain is less now? 1, yeah. Whose pain is more? Anybody? You can feel it now. Yeah, so she feels it more. So for most people here, whoever had a reduction in pain, that's the one that you use, okay? So you can lay down and you use it. So if you look at the screen here, pulling your knees to the chest is the same thing as tucking under in a seat, same thing as tucking under and standing. So I do 10 to 20 reps whenever my back hurts, and then I can keep walking longer. So the next one we're gonna try is the extension relief. So if your back hurts and that one made it feel better, you don't have to do this one because it'll make it feel a bit worse. But for you and you, this is probably gonna feel better. So stand up and just push your hips forward a bunch of times. So let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we're gonna try the squat and see if your back feels better or worse. Better? How about you?
Yeah, loosened up there.
It's getting loosened up there. Woo! Okay, so there you go. That's tip of the day. You can sit down there. It's just amazing how the simplest movements can really make a big difference. And it's like, I don't want people to have to come to me all the time. You shouldn't have to come every month of your whole life in order to feel fine. I want you to manage your own pain. Okay, so rest is not best. Back in the day, people used to think, oh, you have to rest, you have to let the body heal, and then you can move. Don't move too soon because you're gonna make it worse. Now we find almost never is that the right advice. So the way they figured it out was when people had ACL surgery, so that's in the knee, tear the ligament, go in, get it surgically repaired, and they said, don't you dare move for 3 months, okay? Oh yeah, right? See? Imagine how stiff you're gonna be. You're imagining it. Okay, so then they found, okay, some people really get better and some people aren't getting better. So let's do a study and see why. Why are some people getting better? They found that the people that did not listen to the doctor's advice got better. Those people who were like, I don't have time to lay down. I gotta cook dinner. I gotta work in my garden. I gotta go to work. Those people got better. So then they changed the protocol. So now you pretty much walk right away on that. So let's see here, let's take a poll. For a hip replacement, okay, you fall down, break your hip, go in, get the surgery. How long is the best time, or how long after the surgery is the best time to start walking? I'm gonna say 3 options. 1 to 2 weeks, 3 days, or 4 to 5 hours. So who thinks it's 2 weeks? 1. Who thinks it's 3 days? 2, 3. And who thinks it's 4 hours? Hey, you're right. And people, yeah?
I heard that you don't fall down and break your hip breaks and then you fall down, is what I heard.
Well,
that
that's
kind of makes sense. If your hip breaks, you're
uh-huh.
gonna fall down.
Well, yeah, if
you don't fall down and break your hip.
Oh, well, okay, so is it the chicken or the egg? Did your hip break and make you fall, or did you fall and break your hip? It could happen either way. You would have to have really, really bad osteoporosis for it to break without even falling down, though. That would be scary, actually. So it could happen, though. But yeah, definitely osteoporosis makes it more likely to have a break. And that's why people just fall from this length. They have osteoporosis. Like a regular person with strong bones does not break their hip from just falling from here. You have to fall off a big height. So yeah, basically when I had my placement in the hospital, I had to go in and tell these people, well, you just had your surgery 4 hours ago, you just woke up, and now it's time to go walking. And they're like, you're nuts, like get out of here, whippersnapper, I'm not going anywhere with you. You don't know what you're talking about. But actually there's tons of research to show the sooner you get up the better, because when you have a surgical replacement that is not just sewn, but it actually has the screws and the titanium and stuff, that's stable. So you should get up and walk right away, because then it's going to clear the inflammation out, it's going to get your blood moving, it's going to bring that synovial fluid to the area. So people have much better results when they move. So basically the only time I tell people not to move is if the surgeon told them to, because they actually know, okay, this will wreck the surgery if you move this part too quick, or if they have a broken bone. Those are the only 2 times, pretty much. Everything else, even if you have pain, you should be moving it, but in a controlled way. So that's why you need to have the guidance of a competent physiotherapist to tell you, because I won't say just do anything. If someone tears their MCL, I'm not going to tell them to rest, but I'm also not going to tell them to play a game of soccer. So you have to do controlled movements in the way that's going to heal you the best. So that's why you don't have to figure it out. That's what we're here for. We're trained in that. So tennis elbow, anyone had tennis elbow? This pain in the forearm when you grip, twist, yeah, because you have a hard job. This is the sound guy over here. Twisting with your wrist back, motorcycle, biking, anything like that can cause this. It's actually the tendon attached to your elbow and it comes down your arm. Well, that can masquerade, or a nerve pain can masquerade as that and vice versa. So you have to get an assessment to see, is it the nerve or is it the muscle? Because if you just work on one and it's the other one, it's not going to get better. But people tend to think, since it only hurts when you move it and it doesn't hurt when you're not moving it, therefore I need to rest it until it gets better and then I'll start doing the exercises. Not true. And people come in super scared because it can get really, really painful. And I get them to do an exercise with a weight on the very first day. And they're looking at me like I'm nuts. I said, trust me, just try it. So, we'll do a little test. They'll have 8 out of 10 pain. Hold this weight. And then after 45 seconds, they maybe have 4 out of 10 pain. And they're like, holy crap. And so am I, because it's so crazy. So even for tennis elbow, something that hurts a lot and hurts only when you're moving, doing a certain type of exercise can help. So I wouldn't tell them to go and do this up and down, because that's actually going to hurt them. And the faster they do it, the more it'll hurt. But if you hold it for that particular issue, it will make it feel better. And then you'll be able to do the exercises later to get stronger. And it gets better within a month or so. But if you don't do any exercises, it either takes 6 to 8 months to get better, or sometimes it never does, because when you start doing that thing again, now it's gotten so weak it can't handle anything, and then you have pain just opening a doorknob. So let's move on to ankle sprain. Ankle sprain also, people are afraid of tearing the ligament more. So then they want to not walk, they want to be on crutches and stuff like that. We actually don't prescribe crutches for ankle sprain anymore, unless it's torn all the way through or if it's broken. And so if you start moving the very first day and you kind of do some nice range of motion, and it starts to clear the swelling out. And then if you don't move it, what happens is they're called fibroblasts. They're coming into the area and they actually secrete collagen. So that's actually what scar tissue is. It's not something terrible. It's actually what your body needs to regenerate. It's actually a good thing. So it comes in there and it's like Spider-Man. It starts secreting all this collagen and it starts to build back that ligamentous connection. So what I usually tell people is, if you want to move in all directions, except don't move too far in that direction of where that stretches that particular ligament, because you don't want to wreck those fibers that are being formed. You can move it, but don't overstretch it. But overstretch it in all the other directions, because that collagen will come in and it'll just go in all directions. It'll just sew it down like a button, and then your ankle gets super stiff. And trying to undo a stiff collagen ligament is very hard. But at the beginning, they have type 1 fibers that come in, which are very kind of pliable. And then after the 3rd week, it gives the long-term fibers. So in the first 3 weeks, if you move it gently into the direction you want it to go, it'll actually lay down the fibers in the direction you have to move, and they'll be the right length. Otherwise, if you don't move it, it'll just tie it down. And then once the type 3 fibers come in, it's really hard to get your range of motion back. So that's why it's important to get some guidance right away after an injury if you can, because you'll have the best results. Okay, so tight shoulders. Everyone's got tight shoulders. If you tell me you don't, I'm not going to believe you. So I've got a secret pain relieving trick for that. And it's counterintuitive, because you think, well, I'm up here like this because I'm stressed and they're squeezing. I need to kind of stretch them and put them the other way. But actually, if you do it more, then your body realizes what maximal tightness is, and then it can kind of let it go to maximal relaxation easier. So why don't we all evaluate our own shoulders now? How tight do you find them out of 10? I find mine about 8 right now. They're pretty tight because I've been rushing today. Okay, so got your number yet? And then you can do a second check. Just go like this and see how tight they are. Okay. So now we'll do it together. I'll go up, squeeze as hard as you can. Squeezing, 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 squeezing. Squeezing them tight. Holding and let it go. Relax completely. And then again. This is such a great crowd. I was so worried everyone was just going to stare at me and be like, I'm not doing that. But you're doing good. And down. Okay. And we'll do one more time. Squeezing. And down. Okay, so just sitting here now, mine are about a 4. Anybody have, and then check them. Anybody have less tight shoulders now? Mm-hmm. Anyone have more tight shoulders? No. I knew it. Okay. The other thing is moving through your range of motion. So this stretches this muscle here. But if you just hold it, that's okay. It can work. But what I like to do is push a little pressure. You can use whatever hand you want. Put a little pressure on so you're pressing against it, and keep that pressure on as you tilt down. And then keep the pressure on as you tilt the other way. So we can go back and forth like this. And don't go down too far if that hurts. Just go in a nice little range, back and forth. Okay, and then the other side. Just maybe 10% of your strength. Like, don't try to kill your neck by doing this. Usually people do it too hard and that hurts them. Okay, now feel your shoulders. Anybody have more relaxation now? Yay, good. So, another secret pain relieving technique. So arthritis, who thinks arthritis is a death sentence that's gonna make you have to be on a cane and be on a walker and get a replacement and everything like that? Yeah. So this is my mom. No, it's already gone. There we go. So you can see the bottom of her leg there on the one side is kind of out. It's not aligned properly. It's all sideways because she has no meniscus left on that side. And that's actually how she was walking. She was limping in the grocery store. She couldn't even go grocery shopping and she was limping. It was like horrible to watch. And so I put her on my program because I actually have arthritis in my knee. So I'm only 47, but I cracked it in half and it crumbled on the underside and it shredded my cartilage when I fell on it. And so I already have arthritis. So at first, I couldn't even do 10 of these without pain. I would have pain for like a month. But I know that the body remodels itself when you do exercise. So I started with that, and then after a couple of weeks I did 20. After a couple of weeks I did 30, and then I did 10 pounds, but I went back to 10 reps, and I built myself up slowly like that. So pacing is the number one important thing to do when you have arthritis, and you can get back to doing almost anything you want to do, even at any age with bone-on-bone arthritis. So for me, it only took 8 months of that particular program to get to 135 pounds on my back, squatting and skiing. And that was when I actually would limp around just doing a few squats. So I put my mom on the program, and at first I thought it wasn't working. So she's 74. She was 71 at the time, and I was like, why isn't it working for her? But what happened was she stuck with it, and after 2 years, she was able to go to Costco and Superstore in the same day. And then she actually went hiking in the Amazon, which is crazy. Yeah, she has bone on bone, no arthritis. No arthritis. Bone on bone and no ACL in her knee. So that's the ligament that stabilizes the knee. She also has arthritis all over her body. So the fact that she was able to get to that point where she could do that shows even with terrible arthritis, you can do the things you want to do. So there she is with her sister. And you can see on the right side, all those rocks and in the water and stuff, that's a super unstable surface, and then your foot would be moving all around like this. Killer on the knee when you have arthritis and you're not used to it. So you have to really build up your balance, and then your knee won't shear as much when you're on that. So the fact that she could do that is pretty amazing. Yeah. Okay. So like I said, you have to pace for arthritis rehab. You have to get to full range of motion. So when you're walking, when I'm just lifting my other foot, like you're on one leg for a little bit each time you take a step, right? So it could be like a second, but you're still on one leg. If that leg can't go all the way straight, then you're not going to dissipate the force from the ground properly. So what happens when you get arthritis in your knee, sometimes it's just stuck a little bit bent, and then people are walking on that bent knee and you're not dissipating those forces, and that's what causes the pain. So we can do manual therapy, we can do other therapies to get that range of motion back, and the sooner you start, the better. And then when you have a straight leg, walking will be way less painful. Then we get to full strength. So the side of your hip has to be strong in order to control your knee. Otherwise, you're going to have those little shearing motions that you may not even notice, but especially on uneven ground, if your knees hurt more when you're in the forest or on some gravel or something like that, that's because the strength of this hip stabilizer and probably your balance isn't great. So we have to get that back, full balance. Balance can be improved. It has to do with the brain's ability to control the body, and there's specialized exercises you can do which only take 1 minute a day to increase your balance. And then I have pain relieving tricks. So for me, when I was rehabbing my knee, I would get pain after those exercises when I would push it too much, but I could do certain pain relieving tricks to relieve it. So there's one that I really, really like for arthritis, but I couldn't do it because it takes some equipment here. But I will give everyone access to my series of videos that I made, and it's on there if you wanted to try it yourself. So I'll give you the link to that after. But one that we can try today is if you get pain in the middle of your knee, like deep inside, just underneath the kneecap, okay, that's patellofemoral pain. Patella is the kneecap, femoral is this top bone, and they kind of rub on each other, which they're supposed to, but if you have this certain kind of pain, patellofemoral pain, then that's not going to feel good when you bend down. So we'll give you a trick for that. I don't know if anyone here has that issue. If you have arthritis pain, it's usually on the sides of the kneecap there because the ends of these long bones have cartilage on them. So a lot of people don't know that there's more types of cartilage in the body than the meniscus. So that spongy one that everyone talks about that we're all worried about losing because it has no blood vessels, and then once you wreck it, it's gone. that doesn't mean you just have bone on bone. Actually, on the ends of all the bones, there's another type of cartilage which regenerates itself. So I didn't learn about that until 4th year of college. I was like, what? So the cells themselves will secrete a liquid, then the liquid will harden, and then it covers the bone kind of like a candy apple coating. So that can still be there and help your knee to glide properly. So you're not just a lost cause if you don't have a meniscus. So I'll show you how to do this one. Hopefully you can see. What you do is you want to slide your kneecap down towards your foot. So you don't want to press down on it. You want to grab the top of your thigh just above the kneecap, and you want to slide it towards your foot. So you have to get a kind of, so don't cup the whole kneecap. You see the kneecap, and then you just grab the very top edge of it. Yeah, so that's good. That's good. That's better. Let's go here. There you go. How's that? Yeah, and you have to sit on the very edge of your chair to do it, and your leg has to be relaxed. Otherwise, your quad muscle will pull it up. So we can go on top of it here. Just like that. How's that going? Let me see here. Yeah. Sorry, it's too hard. So if anyone wants me to show them how to do that personally, I have a booth. It's on the very, very far corner, right by the lounge, just on the very edge, 535. And I'm giving away free assessments today and treatments, and you can definitely come down there and I'll check your form and make sure you know how to do it for any of these moves that I give. So what I do is maybe 1 minute of that. So when I was doing my squats and I was working up with the weight, I'd get a little ache, then I'd do this, and the ache would go away. It was really amazing. So does anyone have their phone in their pocket? They can bring it out and they can scan this. So this is going to give you access to my videos. So it's going to show this kneecap slide that I did. It's going to show the shoulder thing. It's going to show the back thing. It has little assessments on there so you know which one you should use. Is it working? So you just put your camera on it and then you click the little yellow thing that pops up. And if you need to get closer, you can. So I also have a free ebook that I wrote on arthritis, on how to stay, I'll send it to you on email. Yeah, if anyone has an old flip phone, which is a blast from the past, then I can give you the link after. I have a free ebook called Staying Active with Arthritis, and so it's going to go over some of the things I talked about today, and you can share that with other people as well. All right. And the neck pain? Yes. Yep. So neck pain, well, neck pain needs a good assessment, so we need to see what's causing the pain. So the driver of the issue, if it's the bones that aren't moving, if it's just the muscles that are too tight, if it's weakness, then it causes the muscles to become more tight because they're squeezing too hard to hold you up. Sometimes people get nerve pain down their arm because their neck isn't moving properly and it impinges on the nerve. So you can come down to the booth after and I will assess you. That'll be great. So, and then if you don't get it, I'll give it to you after by a link on your email. All right. So we'll get that to you after if it doesn't work. No. Okay. So I'm really passionate about getting active seniors, keeping them in their homes and keeping them out of the care homes. I helped my grandma and my dad to stay at home. So my dad had cancer, and 8 months, it was terminal cancer, so 8 months into it, people would call and say, oh, well, how are you going to get him to his appointment? And we said, well, we're going to take him in the car. And because they never expected him to be able to walk or dress himself or do anything like that. But he was so good at following all my instructions, and he actually was able to walk just until the very end of his life, the very last 2 weeks of his life. And then my grandma too, she was 94. When she was 90, she was saying how she was having trouble toileting because her shoulder was so stiff, she couldn't actually get it behind her back. And then she was saying how, well, she's Ukrainian, so she's all about do it yourself, hardcore, make it happen no matter what. And so she figured out when she couldn't stand up off the toilet anymore because her legs were too weak, she put a bath towel over the rack, and then she's like, all I have to do is just pull myself up. I was like, you're a genius, you know, this is what they hire OTs for. And then my grandma just figured it all out herself. So I said, well, don't pull the towel rack off. How about we get you to the point where you can just stand up on your own? Because that's possible. People just think in our society that, oh, once you're older, now I can't do anything. I have to just be on a walker and I have to sit there and, you know, watch TV all day. It's not true. You can do other things. It's usually a matter of strength and balance. Those are the two most important things. If you keep those up, it's not that hard. If you're willing to spend maybe, 20 minutes, 3-4 times a week, you can do it. And so living proof is the next video I'm going to show you. Her name is In, and she gave me permission to show this video. She got in a car accident with her husband, and she actually fractured a part of her spine. So there was no spinal cord injury, but just bone, which is bad enough. She got scared. She laid down for 6 months, and she's 85 years old. So you can imagine how weak she was and how tight she was after that. So finally, the family contacted for some help. I came in there, and she was basically stuck in her home because her daughter would work all day, and she had to wear a diaper because she could not roll over and sit up out of bed by herself. She needed someone to pull her up. So this poor lady, and then her husband ended up dying of Parkinson's disease during that time, so then she was alone. So it's a very sad existence. And so anyways, I came in there, and within 4 months, we had her walking outside in the sunshine. So this is her at the beginning, trying to get up. Oh, so exciting. Look at her. And then just a cane, look. Isn't that exciting? I love that. A few tips. I only have a few minutes left, but just say no to McDonald's style physio. So a lot of people have had a bad experience at physio because they go, they get a hot pack thrown on, a little machine, and then they just do exercises by themselves for an hour, and then they leave. That is one style of physio. Not everybody is like that. There are a bunch of us that don't do that. So we try to do hands-on treatments. At my clinic, we do one-on-one appointments. The full time, the full attention is just for you. We have direct billing available, so you just show up if you have benefits, and then you leave. You don't even have to open your wallet. Comprehensive, thorough assessment. So we need to find the driver of the issue in order to fix it. If we have a tight muscle, it could be coming from a nerve, a tendon, anything else. So if we just fix the muscle, it's going to keep coming back. So you need to find the driver and then do some tests and retest. So every time I try a treatment, I retest. I'm like, do you feel better now? If not, we try something else. So I'm not going to waste anyone's money for 3 months doing the wrong thing. Okay, so all about finding the driver. I already went over that. So I know 21 different types of therapies because I'm a super nerd and I just love learning about the physical body. And I've had so many injuries myself, and each one works on a different issue. So that's why I needed to know all these so I can help anybody. Okay, so we go from pain relief. Next step to recovery is flexibility. Then I help you increase your strength. all the way along. We increase your balance and control, and that makes sure the problem is not going to come back again, prevents re-injury. And then step 5, figure out how you can get back to working and playing. So that's the steps that I go through with every single patient. So I am living proof that you can get back to being better than normal from 3 totaled car accidents at 80 to 100 kilometers an hour, flying off my bike, breaking everything, sciatica, and now I can do roller dance, I can do CrossFit, I can do anything I want to do. And so I'm 47. I know some people in this crowd are older, but then you can look at my mom and say, look what she can do with no meniscus. So I hope you enjoyed my talk, and I thank you for participating. That was really fun. And please come down to my booth. It's on the very, very far corner by the lounge if you want to have a free assessment today. And is there any questions? You had a question?
Just like about a month ago, I fell backwards playing pickleball and it landed on my tailbone.
Yeah.
And it was very, very painful.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody said, oh no, don't play, stay.
Of course they did. Rest is not best.
So I've kind of gradually been getting back.
Good.
It's still really sore.
Yeah.
But is there anything to kind of relieve that pain?
Yeah.
You might have? It's like a different...
Yeah, definitely. So when you fall on your tailbone is this little thing like that. So it actually moves. It's got a joint that's like not that movable, but it does a little. So when you really jar it, that's a big jar falling back like that. Sometimes it just gets stuck. So when you get hurt, often your body will either shut down the area so it gets weak so that you can't just, like if you hurt your leg, it won't let you just sprint, right? It's like a protective mechanism. And then if you fall on something, it can kind of get stuck and guarded in a certain way. So after an assessment, we could see what happened to you. So it might just need to be loosened up on the joint and the fascia around to allow it to sit in the right place. And then the pain generally goes away. You might need to do a little strengthening of the muscles that attach to it to hold that in place after that. It could be, yeah, bum cheek sore. Yeah, so if something is out of place, then it's going to pull too hard on the one side of the muscle and not the other, so then it can cause the soreness. So for example, I fell on my finger when I was roller skating a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, it really hurts. I must have sprained my ligament or my tendon. So I healed my tendon the way that I know how, and then it still wasn't getting better. So I actually got someone else to assess me, and they were like, I feel like this person's a wizard. That's why I went to her. Now I've taken the courses that she's taken since because she impressed me so much. So she's like, it's just a tiny bit dislocated, just a tiny bit in the wrong place. She put it back into place, and within 7 days it was better. It was awesome. Any other questions? Knee. Like, you mean is it good or bad, or? Oh, I'm not against knee replacements actually. It just depends. So I recommend doing 3 months of physiotherapy first before you go get a knee replacement, because often you can get out of pain and people just don't even know. And so if you wanted to, I say, okay, get on the knee replacement list because it takes over 8 months to get in. Do physiotherapy in the meantime. If it works, then cancel it. And if you don't feel like it's working, then go have the knee replacement. But actually my patients have great results with knee replacements too. So if you do have, like, I think my mom's gonna go finally get it now. So she did pretty good for many years, but now it's to the point where it's just too hard to maintain. And so she's gonna go get one. And I think that's good because the alignment is all off because you know, everything is loose in there and it's just grinding too much and there's just too much sensitization. So usually you can get out of pain within a month or two after a knee replacement. So there's a 10% failure rate. Okay, that's good. I'll see you after.
I'll encourage you to do those over at Janice Lowe's booth.